Now, I know, Kim, you and I were talking a little bit before the show. Is you and your husband that own Cornerstone Tiny Homes?
Yeah, my husband is a general contractor and has been doing contracting work for probably the last 12 years in our area, and I'm an interior designer.
So tell me about your background. Like, he did renovation, rehab.
Yep, we did anything from a whole build to renovations, remodels, additions, and that sort of thing. So we decided to go into the tiny home business.
What sparked this? Like, where did this come from?
You know, it was one of those pivotal moments that you don't realize is a pivotal moment at the time. Brett went to view another job to bid on one, and at that place there was a tiny home park there, and it was the first time he'd ever seen one. And so upon looking at it, he was disappointed with the craftsmanship, for lack of a better term, of this. And so we started looking into it, just like James, just like everyone. We started looking into the tiny home movement at that time. So, and from there, it was born.
It's kind of like something that you feel, right?
Yes.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think every tiny house, or whether they're a builder or someone who lives in a tiny house or even dreaming of living in a tiny house, gets that feeling in their gut, and they get excited and they think that we're going to be able to, let's go ahead and do it. I mean, I like to say this about Cornerstone. They've been so helpful in our open houses at Orlando Lakefront, our tiny house community where Haley and I live, is that they jump, like every tiny houser, like we do, we jump feet first into this, like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Oh my God, I'm living in a tiny house now. How is this going to work? They did that with their business, like feet first, stopped building big houses, jumped into building tiny houses. And so they radically downsized their business, like we radically downsized our lives.
So what would you say, like, what's the common denominator for most people? Is it a more simplistic life?
And it's interesting that you asked that question, because we have come across so many answers to that same thing. There is no one common thing other than they know that they don't want all of the stuff anymore. Or there's also people that use it as a second home. So they still have all their stuff at home, and then they have their vacation home to come to Florida, say, as a suburb, come here to live. And we're also looking at different people that might, this would be a great tool to use for people that have had a disaster such as a fire.
Yes.
So
I was thinking that same thing earlier, like what would happen if you lost everything in a fire? This would be a great place to either start to rebuild, or maybe it's a permanent lifestyle. I don't know.
Well, what our point was, you could pull a tiny home into the driveway of the house that had the fire. The kids can still go to school. They can still be in their neighborhood. They still know all of their neighbors, and they can probably supervise any work that's being done to take care of their issues that they had in the fire.
I mean, yeah, if you think about it, you have a family that has likely lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so as opposed to uprooting the kids and maybe changing schools and,
mm-hmm.
living with another family, or however that shakes out, it would make sense for them to have their own space.
Yeah, there's so many options within this movement. That's one of the nice things about living tiny, is that you have flexibility and mobility, but the movement has flexibility and mobility. And there's so many applications with tiny houses for affordable housing, for veterans, for the homeless, for like Tiny House of Hope. We have a Tiny House of Hope coming into Orlando Lakefront.
Where it's a domestic violence situation,
Absolutely.
Someone's probably scared to leave and they're afraid they're going to be homeless or live in a shelter. Maybe they have a child, who knows?
Exactly.
I mean,
it's scary.
And there are,
I mean, I think you could just, if you give somebody hope, it
Right.
can change the footprint of their life. You know?
Absolutely, and that's what Tiny House of Hope is. We have a woman coming to the park who was sadly the target of domestic violence, and this organization, nonprofit, is giving her a home so that she can live with us in our tiny house
You
community.
do good deeds, they come full circle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I had in my mind for you, Kim, was, do you ever get the question or people that ask, well, you know, why would I pick a tiny home over an RV? Like, what are some of the difference between either maybe a travel trailer, a fifth wheel, which is obviously bigger, or like a camper or driving RV? Because they're mobile, they're on wheels. So theoretically speaking, if you're traveling all around to different RV parks, you're going to see a lot of America or wherever you're going. It's a great way, really, just to see a lot of stuff.
Certainly.
But tell me, how do you answer that? Like, if somebody says, why should I buy a tiny home over an RV or a camper?
The typical lifetime of an RV, it is an aluminum skin around an aluminum frame. The typical lifetime on those are roughly 7 to 10 years, depending on how you use it and how it's maintained. Whereas with a tiny home, it's probably not been established yet.
Right, it's new.
It's a newer movement. I'd say.
But I mean, these are prehab construction and specifications that match any home. It just happens to be small. Am I right?
Well, yes, we build according to Florida code. So it is a stick-built, wood-framed home. It has a typical shingle roof, or it can have a metal seamed roof on top. It looks like a home. It is siding on the outside, the shingles on the roof, typical windows. It's nothing like an RV with a crank out windows, the roof air conditioner, you know, all of those sorts of things. They're very energy inefficient, an RV is, whereas with a tiny home, we're extremely energy efficient.
I mean, it's so small, you can build it in a manufacturing facility or a plant. That's the whole point.
That's what we do, yes.
And you don't have lost production time that you would for rain or other details like that.
Isn't that great? You know, we've had torrential rains here in Florida since we've opened up, and we have been able to continue construction all through them. It's been wonderful.
I mean, I'll tell you, from somebody that owns a travel trailer, they do break down a lot faster. I mean, constantly, especially with kids are so hard on stuff. At least my kids are. Maybe everybody's kids are like that, but mine are like that. And there's constantly like little things breaking, and you know, like the plastic yellows, and like a lot of little things like that. That if you ever own a trailer or a camper or anything like that, you know.
Yes. Oh yeah. The longevity of this is just like, we expect it to be just like a home. You know, of course, you still have to maintain your home. But the longevity of a tiny home, because it's built in a traditional manner from the trailer up, is the same as a home.
So do you have to have a tag on it like a car?
The trailer does come as a registered trailer. So it comes from our manufacturer. Each trailer is built custom for your home. We have to take into consideration things like the plumbing placement in the trailer might affect where we put a cross member. So we never make the trailer until we have your specific plan determined.
But I mean, ultimately, it's going to have a tag on it, right?
It does
like
have a tag.
I mean, campers do too. But
Yep. Yep,
Haley,
absolutely.
you were going to say? Well, you know, coming from a real estate background too, it's really not much different than even buying a trailer, right, on land. They're going to depreciate just like a car.
That is true. Whereas a tiny home, we don't expect it to at all. With tiny homes too, there's different levels of manufacturing. There's a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there. We bring a level of professionalism to the build because of our past experience. Just today, we received word that we had come through an RVIA inspection.
No, what's RVIA? Break that down for the person listening.
It's Recreational Vehicle, Inspection Association. Oh,
Okay.
geez, isn't that terrible? I can't think of the.
Well,
exact
RVIA, but I'd like to break the acronyms down.
Yes, so what they are a governing body that is over all of RVs in the world, or I'm sorry, they belong to this group. They come, they inspect your home, and from there you are able to park in many different parking areas that wouldn't allow normally a non-RVIA trailer in. We have different financing options available under that membership, as well as insurance. So yeah, all of those things. There's only three, I believe there are only 3 other tiny home companies in the United States that are RVIA certified.
Wow. Thank you, Chris.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Doing a great job back there. Thank you. So, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the things that we missed in the last show. One of the things that we didn't talk about that I would love to chime in on it, and we'll do it after the break, is how do pets acclimate and get used to, and like what's their, how do they act and that kind of stuff in a tiny home. Want to say something before we hit the break?
Sure, yeah. Haley, this will be great because Haley and I both live in the same tiny house community, and she has a dog and I have 2 cats. So we'll
great.
cover it.
Can't wait to talk about it. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. We'll be back in just a few minutes with Cornerstone Tiny Homes, Kim, as well as our guest James and our calling guest Haley. Hang tight. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Good. I blinked on I-2, that's why I didn't jump in, because I was thinking international. I just blinked on it, or else I would have jumped in there.
It's not big deal, it's real radio. So.
I know, it's live radio. It's live radio.
That's right.
Exactly. Well, that's good.
And I like it a lot better when he's talking. I could just sit here and kind of go like that. It's just like all of a sudden, oh shoot, I got it.
Yeah, now I gotta talk.
It's so much easier.
So if you want, if we have more, I can go into my radical downsize system, what I did.
Talk about what?
My process for radical downsizing. We didn't have time in the last one.
Yeah.
But if you want to, how did you get rid of your stuff?
I do, yeah.
I'll bring people, I'll direct them to my blog, but then I'll briefly describe my process. Because that goes
I don't know, did Brett and Alan call?
Yeah, no, we got Brett.
Out?
Yeah, we got Brett.
They chicken out?
Are they on the phone? They're on the phone?
Let's get Brett in.
Okay.
Let's do them first.
Who's Brett?
That's my husband.
Okay.
Yeah, and Alan is our marketing person.
And I'll be brief on pets.
Well, welcome back. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk, and I'm your host, Katrina Magbaugh. Thanks so much for chiming in and sticking around after the break. If you missed any part of today's show, we are in studio today with Cornerstone Tiny Homes. We're talking all about their tour that is coming up Saturday, August 15th from 1 to 4 p.m. You can tour their manufacturing facility and kind of see how they're made, how they're built. You can ask them questions, and you can actually see one just about finished and one in the making. So we also had a couple guests call in during the break, and we're going to get to them. Brett, which is actually your husband.
That's right.
And we also have Alan, which is your marketing person for Cornerstone Tiny Homes.
That's right.
Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Are you there? Did we lose him? Oh, hi there. This is Katrina. Who's this? Hi, Brett. So, you're welcome. I don't know when you chimed in or if you heard, I was asking Kim the why, like how come you made the shift and where it came from and your background. We were just talking about the background of Cornerstone and where the whole thing came into play and where your background was, where you guys started. So what's your role in this whole process with Cornerstone?
Thank you.
Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you stumbled across one for the first time, and that's kind of what intrigued your curiosity, I suppose. So talk about the kitties and the doggies, because I know, James, you have cats or cat?
I have 2 cats.
Okay, and Haley has a dog. So how do your pets adjust?
Well,
How did they adjust?
Well, my cats were kind of, well, one thing, I talked to my vet first. I said, I'm going to do this. Are they going to
Well, you are a planner.
Go, I am.
You talk to your vet, you're still a planner.
I am. It's a sickness, really.
I love it.
But yeah, so I talked to her and she said that cats are vertical creatures, not horizontal. So as long as they had a lot of height and vertical space to play with, they'll be okay. And
really?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Cornerstone was kind enough to build me a cat ramp that goes from my loft to the front of my tiny house. And I have my catwalk.
Catwalk,
yes,
I love it. You got the music for that.
My kitty catwalk, exactly. Thank you, Brett. And Brett put it up and let me come over to the shop, and and he put it up for me, and I have a little ledge right above my front door where my hexagonal window is, and my cats get up there and they look out and they have all this horizontal space, vertical space to play with, and they're happy cats.
I mean, animals don't like to move anyway. So anybody I've ever talked to, just the move for any animal is a little bit traumatic, especially if it's far and they're in a car for hours.
It was a nightmare. Like, it was a nightmare taking them out here. They do not like to travel. They meow the entire time. But the nice thing that I told them, I said, once you get in this house, you're never leaving again, even if we move.
And do they listen?
Because we're on wheels. Oh, they love it. They love it. They love it. They did listen. That made them, less anxious about the move and all that kind of stuff. But I'll stop there because I'm sounding kind of crazy.
Oh, I think it's fun though. That's amazing.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, thank you very much.
Your puppy dog.
The dog.
So Haley, how was your dog? Well, it's kind of like kids, right? You're spending more time with your pet too.
Oh, that's true.
Because you're not in corporate America anymore.
Hey, that's super true. I didn't even think of that.
So it's kind of like a big circle of life.
Well, what's funny is that Haley had concerns about Nesta getting up into the loft, and so did I. I mean, they're cats, but I was like, how are they going to meow all night? How are they get up there? And I obsessed over, like, those cat shelves that you can put your wall and they act as steps and all of that kind of stuff. And I wasn't thinking catwalk at the time, but I was like, how are they going to get up there? And I obsessed over it. My boy cat just climbs the ladder, even if it's,
Does he really?
He just climbs up the ladder and he jumps down from the loft onto the couch to be able to get down. And
just saw the video. That's really cool. He's like,
I know, right? He loves that. And then she jumps, up, and she manages to get up there by jumping up on my entertainment center and then up to the loft.
So how about your dog, Haley? Little dog, big dog? Oh, so good for the dog.
Yeah, for sure.
How does she get upstairs?
But Haley has typical stairs. They're not, it's
Normal,
not a ladder, yeah.
So, and there are some challenges, right? Like I don't think Renee's with us anymore, but she joined us for the last show. Is Renee with us, Chris? He's not even listening. He's like back there. Anyway, so we were talking about some of the challenges like zoning and that kind of stuff. But some of the other challenges that come with a tiny home is financing, right? That's a big one for you guys.
It is a big one. Currently, a typical tiny home loan is a personal loan, unsecured. Normally, the time frame is a 7-year loan. So that does make it prohibitive for people to get financing. So we'd love to have anybody, we'd love to have anybody that is, a financier of any kind contact us.
We talked about it, James, and I think the banks just really haven't really wrapped their brain around what it is yet.
They haven't.
And the riches are in the niches. So once you figure that out and you get that, you'll be the go-to lender.
Yeah, I mean, when somebody gets this niche, they will be. I mean, that's what you hit the nail right on the head. And the thing is that as a tiny house advocate in the movement, we need to make this movement, if somebody wants to go tiny, accessible, because it makes the American dream of home ownership affordable again and sustainable. We realized in 07, 08 that it's not sustainable, with the
Right. Well, people like me are very involved. I'm always trying to help other business owners, fix issues in their business and help their business grow. And I'm a big advocate for home ownership. Regardless of how that happens for anybody, I'm a very big advocate for homeownership. And so, some of the challenges that we've had in recent years, like the flood insurance, is huge. I mean, I had a client, literally their flood insurance premium was about $35,000 a year. It was more than the mortgage payment.
Oh,
wow. And you can't do that. So they put a Band-Aid on the flood thing. But, people like me gather once a year what they call Great American Realtor Days. And so we go up to the Capitol in Florida, Tallahassee, and we literally lobby with legislators. So Florida Realtors chooses things, on the bill or whatever the talking points are going to be that we discuss with legislators, because these are important issues. And like flood insurance was on that topic and many things like this. And so the reason why I bring that up, Brett, is because it's right on time with what you said. And I don't think you had it wrong the first time when you said correct the zoning issues, because I think it's really a matter of correcting them. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what, Brett, people like me that have been around, for 22 years, I've been in this industry, and I had no idea, like with what Renee was sharing earlier, that, Brevard County, where she was at, in Rockledge, Florida, the minimum requirement was 1,200 square feet.
Yeah, the average in 1973, the average home for a family with 2.5 children and the dog was 1,200 square feet. And now, last year, it's gone up to 3,800 square feet average.
Yes.
No, that's my stat. That's my stat, Brett.
But what I'm saying is, you obviously have to make a change regardless of what that is.
Right.
It's not the 200 square foot home that Cornerstone is building.
Right, but city and zoning goes, it's different for every city,
area.
county. I mean, you break it
municipality.
down, it is just insane. And that's what's great about Cornerstone.
Right. So you hit that gray area because you're not a car, you're not an RV, you're not stationary, so you're kind of like, you know, different.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I was thinking, like those are some of your other issues would be getting insurance on them, definitely appraisals. I mean, I could see an appraiser going, oh, this is my worst nightmare. Like how in the HE hockey stick am I gonna comp this thing out? It's 200 square foot.
I've been in this movement for a while now, and I have never heard the word appraiser with this. And,
Yeah.
and that's
I know,
hilarious.
that's
You
the
know,
thing.
I mean, it's very clear we need lending products to be able to help people get in.
Right.
It's very clear that we need, you know, tiny housers like Renee, or to be tiny houser like Renee, to go and be an advocate to change zoning, and be advocates within the movement to change regulations within the government and zoning and stuff. And what I like about, and some builders are doing that too, and that's what's good about Cornerstone. They're also an advocate for the movement, even though they're in a for-profit model. They are advocates of the tiny house social movement and moving it forward. Not at all.
Yeah.
Renee's our rock star of the day.
Renee's our rock star of the day. That was
She's
here.
not even here.
Yeah,
yet.
last week she was here.
That's
She
right,
was
we'll just
just
slow her up and talk about her, be all good.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. She'll get everybody talked about you. Yeah, no. Yeah, she's a model. I hope she's coming to the open house. I invited her last week to Orlando Lakefront at College Park's open house. We have an open house every second Saturday of the month. We're not having one in August, obviously, because Cornerstone, we want to support them. Haley's home's built with Cornerstone, so she's going to be there. And
Just by the way, August, it's the 15th,
Yeah.
so Saturday, August 15th from 1 to 4
Right.
p.m.
But it's this weekend, yeah. And then we'll return to our second Saturdays from noon to 3 at Orlando Lakefront at our tiny house community from noon to 3.
I love that you open up your heart and your home, you know, for people to see, because not everybody is like, yeah, sure, come on in, you can tour my home.
You know what? I am like from the curious to the serious. Come one, come all. It's all about getting people inside and try to getting, right, Haley?
Yeah.
Well,
I cannot wait to tour it. Like James
oh, you got
and Haley, I'm so touring your thing. And even though I'm not going to make your open house, I'm leaving for a cruise, I am so good
Sure.
for your facility to check them out because I'm so curious.
No,
I
we
mean,
want you to because you're curious. But Katrina, ask me what the first tiny house was I walked into.
oh, I have to hear. Do tell.
Mine.
So you never saw one before?
I had never stepped foot in a tiny house before I built mine. I'd never seen one personally and never, yeah. And then, oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's
So,
true. Yeah,
so
she
for
came
a
to it.
planner, that's pretty brave.
Well, I knew after watching like a gazillion million or how many there were at the time from 2009 to 2011 YouTube videos on tiny houses, I just knew I could do it without a doubt. I thought it was, I thought it made sense financially. I looked at my amortization schedule on what I had left on my mortgage, what interest I owed. The interest I owed on my mortgage
was more than what you paid
was
for
more
your
than
house.
what I paid for my
Yeah.
tiny house.
So how did you pay for your house? With
How did
cash?
it? Yeah, I cashed out. I did. I sold my
You
place,
took whatever assets you had
I did.
and
I
ran for the hills.
went
Or
liquid.
not the hills.
paid it all down, moved here, and basically it's kind of like starting over, but I'm playing a game with myself. I look at my amortization schedule, whatever that interest payment is, I half it and I put it into an IRA.
Good for you.
So when I'm done, you know, when I cash that will all be what I'm calling beach money.
Well, you can do whatever you want to do at that point. I mean, you can travel.
Right.
You can travel with your tiny
I
house.
can
if you want
travel
to.
now. I can travel now. It's like, why wait? That's what I was like, why wait?
Yeah, you can
And
live, like
if you,
really live.
If you are out there and you're listening to this and you think you can go tiny, you can. And I just go for it. Just leap of faith. Jump in.
Yeah, if you change your mind, I can always sell it for you and find you another house.
There you go. There is no tiny house realtor. Talk about a niche.
Ask
You
Chris.
could make a mint.
My motto is love where you live or we'll fix it. Is it not, Chris? I tell everybody that I will resell your house for free. If you buy it from me and you don't love it, I will resell it for free.
That is awesome.
Katrina, what do I do to help me?